Hello everyone, welcome to your easy guide to English section for CLAT examination series. And this is the part 2 of the topic common literary devices or the figure of speeches. Now, the first figure of speech for today is hyperbole. So, right from the word hyper, you can understand that there is some sort of hyper or hype activity going on. So, it is an exaggeration used for emphasis or effect. It is not to be taken literally, of course. So, to create a dramatic effect, often humorous, or to emphasize emotion or intensity, this device is used. For example, I cried a river. Now, it doesn't mean that you cried so much that your tears filled up a whole river. Of course, that's not possible, but that means you cried a lot. You want to emphasize on how much you cried so that to get that dramatic effect. I cried a river. It's a hyperbole. This is the worst day of my life. Now, maybe statistically speaking, that I mean, a day could be particularly worst day of somebody's life. But again, this is an English section, and you have to understand that this is an exaggeration. You can really not compare your days like that and reach to a point of saying some day is the worst day of my life. So it's like you're just having a terrible day. So this is the worst day of my life is an exaggeration. So it's a hyperbole. I'm dying of boredom. So, I mean, it's not like the boredom is killing you with a knife or like it's, suffocating you and you're like literally dying. Just like really bored. That's what you're trying to say. So, to create a dramatic effect. So, by an exaggeration, that's hyperbole for you. Okay. So, I am so hungry I could eat a horse. Now, if you're not from Central Asia, where horse is a part of the regular cuisine, barring those, I think it's just a way of saying that you're really hungry and just you can eat anything. So that's hyperbole. Euphemism. Now, what is euphemism? It's a mild or indirect expression used in place of something harsh, unpleasant, or taboo. So sometimes, even your parents euphemistically try to talk to you. They want to do some harsh talk, but then they are like trying to tiptoe around it and using mild and indirect expressions. So that is euphemistically speaking. They're just trying to soften the impact of those uh, difficult topics. So often trying to be polite or sensitive. So, for example, when somebody is fired, they are not. It is not usually said that person was fired. It is said he was let go. It's not like somebody was holding the person in the office and like I've chained you and you cannot go and now today I'm letting you go. That's not what's happening. It's just a soft way of saying he was fired. He was let go, like he was fired, or he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. Now it's just a way of saying that this person is not like very intelligent or this person is stupid, just to be blunt. So we like he's not the sharpest, like, he's the bluntest भी नहीं बोल रहे हैं. We're not saying that he's the bluntest, that he's not the sharpest, that like yeah, he's like not very intelligent, something like that. Sharpest tool in the shed is like if you have like many tools and the sharpest tool will be the best, most efficient tool. But this tool, if it is not sharp, shows that the tool is blunt and not that efficient, not that uh, useful. Similarly, this person who's being said this thing means that this person is not very intelligent, so sort of blunt minded in the sense. So it's just trying to mild the impact of it. It's like saying somebody, dude, you're stupid. It's very sharp, it's very rude. So he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. Or when someone says they are between jobs, clearly it means they're unemployed. Now it feels like it's hurtful to say I am unemployed. So you say I am between jobs, like I'm like switching between jobs like that. So that's a euphemism. When you are just trying to use softer versions of phrases or words to just soften the impact of some hurtful or difficult things. Similarly, pre-owned vehicle. Pre-owned vehicle is only like just a soft way of saying second-hand vehicle or second-hand car. She is in her golden years. Yeah, this is also very popular. She is in her golden years. Okay, that means she is elderly, like golden year 50s or like, or even the later part, like post 50 sort of. So elderly. So euphemism. You use euphemism is again used in marketing and often in official languages. So just to not sound rude enough. Okay. Paradox. Now, what is a paradox? A paradox is a statement that seems self-contradictory, but it reveals a deeper truth when it is examined. So, for example, I must be cruel to be kind. Now, cruelty and kindness are opposite things. But the statement is saying that in order to be kind, I'll have to be cruel. So this is a line from Hamlet. So it's paradoxical that how can you be cruel and kind at the same time? They are both opposite traits, and you can be only one of the two at one time. So it's like it has a deeper meaning in it that sometimes for kindness you have to take stand, and for that you have to be ruthless and sort of cruel. So there is a deeper truth. So on the surface it appears contradictory, like cruelty and kindness, two contradictory things on the surface, but on the deeper level it makes sense and it is revealing a deeper truth. That's paradox. So the more you learn, the less you know. Again, it's a paradox that if you're learning more, how is it that you should know more? No, but this is the Socratic logic. So, but the point is, the more you know, you see, there's so much knowledge in this world. That realization is learning more. That realization is true education. So, the more you learn, the less you know. So, on the surface, it's contradictory, but it has a deeper meaning. That's paradox. Or when someone says less is more, so it's a caption for minimalist movement. Less is more. That, for example, in decor, if your room looks like filled with paintings, showpieces, and all those things, it doesn't always look very beautiful. So now again, I euphemistically say it looks ugly rather than saying ugly. It's not very beautiful. So it's not euphemism per se, but sort of I'm trying to make it soft. So this is how, if you speak the language, you'll see a lot of these things you're using in your language. So less is more. That means if you keep it less, it will give more neat. It will give a neater impact. It will give like more beautifully arranged room kind of vibe. So less is more. Again, on the surface of it, it looks like contradictory things are being said, but at the deeper level, a deeper truth or a deeper meaning is revealed. Okay. You have to spend money to make money. Again, contradictory. If you're spending money, how will you make money? You're like reducing the amount of money that you have. No. But you're spending, you're investing, you're buying some sort of thing, and then you're investing, or you're like entrepreneurial in an entrepreneurial manner. You're setting up a business or whatever, and that's how you make money by spending money. So, paradox. I hope this is clear. It is supposed to express complex and ironic truth. I hope you remember what irony is, and to make readers pause and reflect. So again, you see how beautiful it makes the language look. That is why it is a figure of speech. So it's like almost like a jewelry for the speech. So paradox. Anecdote. Now, what is an anecdote? Anecdote is the short personal story used to illustrate a point or engage the audience. It is supposed to humanize a topic. Sometimes when I'm like trying to explain some concepts to you, I tell you some stories. That would be an anecdote, a small story, personal story, which is supposed to, give you an understanding of the topic that is being talked about. So it is quite common in essays, speeches, stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy, so you see, the comics on the stage, they would come and they start with some story, and then they'll infuse jokes in it, and that's how the whole setup goes. So that is anecdote. So anecdote is very, very popular technique used in speeches. For example, Barack Obama, his speeches are full of anecdotes. Now, for example, Malala Yousafzai often begins her UN speeches with a story about her schooling days. So even in the books and all, if autobiographies are written, so they are full of anecdotes. So people talk about their like past experiences. They tell stories from their past experiences to make a point. So Malala Yousafzai, she starts her UN speech by telling about her school day, making a point about education for girls. Okay. Similarly, when I was a child, my mother would, and then on these notes, these stories can start. And for example, yeah, I mean the Colgate ad. You might have seen that the mother would come and she was like, when I was this used to happen, and now this is happening, something like that. So short personal story. That's anecdote. Okay. Satire. Now, this is my absolute favorite. Satire uses humor, irony, or exaggeration to criticize or to expose flaws in society, politics, or human nature. So it's like you sometimes, you give your best friends the hardest time. You're just like making fun of them sometimes, just to expose some of their something wrong that they have done. So you don't directly criticize it in the negative sense, but use humor to show what they have done. So it's often to make a serious point through humor. So satire, it is mostly in the social context. Satire in the literature, plays, stories, poems, and all are written. Songs are written. Slogans are written. Not slogans, really. Sorry. Songs are written to satirize the, say, the government or the social system. All those things. Okay. So, for example, there is this book, Animal Farm by George Orwell. It satirizes the Soviet communism. So, this is a like amazing book. Everybody should read. And in fact, it's I don't think you would have time if you're in the later stages of your preparation. But if you have some time, you should definitely read it. It will give you a very good understanding of political system and a masterpiece of literature. Anyway, it's like one of my favorites. So I tend to get a little carried away. So yeah, there's this line in this book, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Now you can see that here they are in the book they are trying to start a political society, and the leaders they first collect everyone that we are all equal, and these humans they are not really with us, and these humans are trying to take advantage of us. We are all equal and we should unite and maybe rebel against them. So okay, everybody's like, yeah, this sounds good, and we should unite and we should rebel against the powerful humans and all that. So all the humans come. Then they start to change that all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. That means they're trying to subtly say that some are like more like at a higher stature. Just trying, like, bluntly speaking, they're trying to say that we are at a higher stature, although we were saying that we are all equal. So this is a satire that this is how the political leaders play on the minds of the masses. That first, when they want the vote and everything, they will like, we are all equal. I am your sevak. I am here to serve you and all. But then when they are in power, then the language tends to change. So this is the truth that is being tried to expose through satire. So in a funny way, they've used the like animals instead of human, and it's very funny also. But then, despite the humor, they are like it's a very very strong critique of the society. Okay. Similarly, Gulliver's Travel. You might have seen many movies on it. There was this movie Jajantram Mamantram. I don't know. You guys might be too young to know about it, but it was based on Gulliver's Travel. So, Gulliver's Travel is a book by Jonathan Swift. It mocks the British society and politics. The Amul ads, I'm sure you must have come across those for sure. So, Amul ads are the best example of satire. They are like, they, if you just pick up any Amul ad, it might be satire. It might be like saying some commentary on something that is happening in India. So they are like one of the best examples. So if something happens, they bring an ad with that Amul girl saying something in a very humorous manner and commenting. So satire. So it's like uses humor to criticize or expose flaws in society, politics, or human nature. Okay, satire. Now let's try to do some questions and see if we have understood these figure of speeches that we just discussed. So, this practice passage one. Ria collapsed on her bed and groaned. This assignment is going to kill me. I've already written 10,000 words and I'm not even halfway through. Her roommate laughed, handing her a cup of coffee. Well, at least you're not 6 feet under yet. They both chuckled. Their exams were still a week away, but the stress made every hour feel like a life. Now, this is a small story about two friends who are in the preparation and they have exams in a week, and that's what this small story is describing. Okay. Now, which literary device is used in the line, this assignment is going to kill me? Euphemism, hyperbole, satire, or paradox? Now, euphemism is something trying said in a softer or less harsh manner to hide the harsher truth. That's not being done here. Satire, again, there is no humor and used to exaggerate the flaw of a society or politics or anything. Paradox, there are no two opposite contradictory things placed together which is giving some sort of deeper meaning. No. So we see that this is option B, hyperbole, that this assignment is going to kill me. It's not like the assignment has a knife and it is like going to kill this person. It's just a way of exaggeration to show the exaggeration that I'm God, I don't want to do the assignment, and I'm like really not in the mood of doing this assignment. It is making me so stressed that it feels like I am dying. So it's just exaggerating to show the amount of stress this person is going through. So when exaggeration is done, that is you being hyping it. So hyperbole. Okay, so option B. What is the effect of hyperbole in this passage? It hides the real emotion, it emphasizes the emotional stress, it underplays the seriousness, it adds factual accuracy. Of course, anything exaggeration cannot be adding a factual accuracy. So it's option B. It emphasizes the emotional stress. Okay. Now let's see another passage. When asked why he left his previous job, Raj replied, I decided to explore other opportunities. What he didn't say was that he had been fired for consistently missing deadlines. But the phrase explore other opportunities sounded so polished and even professional. Now identify the euphemism in this passage. So, which euphemism is used in this passage? That this person is saying, instead of saying that kept missing deadlines, I just wanted to explore other opportunities. So, consistently missing deadline, explore other opportunities, polished even professional, left his previous job. Which of these lines have euphemism in them? So it's of course the first one, consistently, no, sorry. B, explore other opportunities. That, you're not saying that I kept missing deadlines. I just wanted to explore other opportunities. So it's like euphemistically trying to hide that I was not capable and I was fired. Like I want to explore other opportunities. Okay. Why do people use euphemisms in professional context? To confuse the listener, to exaggerate emotions, to soften harsh realities, or to be humorous. Of course, this person is not trying to sound humorous in the interview. So, to soften harsh realities. That is, if the person would say, I kept missing deadlines, this person would not be selected for sure. And if he tells the truth, he will not be selected. If he doesn't tell the truth, and if he says something that is completely false information, then he can be held liable later that you lied in your job and it's some sort of forgery or something like that. So that can create problem later. So euphemistically speaking the truth is the diplomatic or the middle way to go. Okay. Now another practice passage. So the longest one. Okay, never mind. At the annual education summit, a well dressed official opened his speech by declaring, in our schools, we promote creativity by strictly following the syllabus. Wow, promoting creativity by strictly following the syllabus. Okay. The crowd applauded, missing the paradox entirely. Later, a teacher stood up to share her story. A decade ago, I was scolded for letting my students paint during math class. One of those students is now a renowned data visualization expert. Her anecdote was met with awkward silence. A cartoon in the summit brochure showed a student carrying a giant school bag labeled Burden of Holistic Development, sweating under its weight. The caption read, Empowering the Future One Spine at a Time. It drew a few nervous chuckles, but many flipped the page quickly. After all, no one wants to be the target of satire, especially when it's accurate. Okay, so this passage is full of figure of speeches, and let's see what the questions are. Oh, the answer is here at this page itself. Hmm, that's not fun. Anyway, which of the following lines from the passage best exemplifies a paradox? Now, what is paradox? We discussed it. So, paradox is when two contradictory ideas are placed side by side, and it seems like two contradictory things are being talked about, but at a deeper level, it encapsulates a deeper truth or a like some meaningful, some philosophy, some meaningful thing, something like that. Okay. So, option A, our teacher stood up to share her story. Which of the following passage best exemplifies the paradox? Yeah. Our teacher stood up to share her story. We promote creativity by strictly following the syllabus. C, empowering the future one spine at a time. Or D, the crowd applauded, missing the paradox entirely. So, which of these is showing some contradictory things placed together? Option B, of course, because creativity is something that can only be explored when there is freedom. So, because it doesn't believe it's finding something new. So, if you're bounded by the rules, how can you how can you find something new? For creativity, you have to explore in different domains, and only then you can find something absolutely new. You have to walk the uncharted territories. So that's creativity. Now, if it is strictly following the syllabus, how will you be creative? So promoting creativity and strictly following the syllabus are two contradictory things. So the paradox is in option B. Okay. The teacher's story about her student who became a data visualization expert is an example of. So again, it's a personal story that the teacher was telling during the summit. So it's an example of anecdote because it's not a satire, it's not a euphemism, it's not a hyperbola, it's an anecdote, a personal experience shared to make a point. What is being satirized in the cartoon described in the passage? So this passage was talking about a cartoon, no? A student carrying a giant school bag. In the second paragraph, first line, a student carrying a giant school bag labeled burden of holistic development. So this cartoon, what is the satire in this cartoon? So a student's poor posture, that's not the satire. Teacher who oppose painting, the contradiction of in modern education policies, or D, overuse of brochures. So of course option C, because at one point this kid is thrown under the burden, literally under the burden of a heavy bag, while also being talked about creativity and all those things. So this cartoon mocks the burden of holistic development, a jab at how schools claim to nurture well-being while overloading students. So a jab is like again a satire sort of thing. It's like an attack, not really attack kind of attack, but sort of pointing out in a sense. So it's like you taking a jab at someone, you're making fun of them, poking at how schools claim to nurture well-being while overloading students. Okay, so that's the satire. Now, apostrophe. What is an apostrophe? That we know the one apostrophe we use with apostrophe S. So this is a different one. So it's a figure of speech in which the speaker directly addresses someone absent, dead, imaginary, or even an inanimate object or abstract idea, as if it were present and capable of responding. So it is supposed to create an emotional intensity to give a dramatic or reflective tone to the whole thing. So, for example, Milton, thou shouldn't be living at this hour. So, in this is a poem from Wordsworth. So, when he's evoking Milton, the poet is dead. So, but still, for the sense of a dramatic effect, he's like Milton, thou shouldst be living at this hour. Matlab, he's just trying to drama. Like the figure of speech is all for drama, because you can directly say the things, but to create an impact you figuratively use these devices to increase the impact. Or, oh time, slow down. So like you cannot talk to time, but you're just trying to give a poetic effect to the whole thing, that time is passing so fast and you're talking to as if you're talking to time. Oh time, slow down. Oh freedom, how you elude us. So you again, freedom is just an abstract concept. So you are evoking freedom, or as if you're talking to freedom, and the freedom asking that why you keep eluding us, why you keep, we are trying to chase you and you keep running away. So that would be eluding us. Okay. Oh sleep, why do you abandon me before a test? So like in the morning, if you have not been able to sleep before a test, you could be like, oh sleep, why did you? So it's not like you're talking to sleep, but you're just evoking sleep to uh, create that dramatic impact. Okay. Apostrophe. It's like talking, addressing someone absent, dead, imaginary, abstract idea, or an inanimate object. Okay. Anaphora. What is an anaphora? Anaphora is the repetition of a word or a phrase at the beginning of successive clauses or lines. It is supposed to emphasize a key idea. So it also creates a rhythm and emotional build-up. It's of course frequently used in poetry, speeches, and slogans. So this might remind you of alliteration. In alliteration, the first letter is repeated multiple times, but in anaphora the whole word is repeated multiple times. Okay. So it was the best, for example, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It's a line from the A Tale of Two Cities. So the times has been repeated, the best of times, worst of times. So this repetition is trying to create a poetic effect. Or I have a dream speech of Martin Luther King. It has the word dream repeated 8 times. It has the whole phrase repeated 8 times. I have a dream, I have a dream, I have a dream. Just to, show how important this dream or this goal of achieving a society in a certain manner is. So they are supposed to, show what is the key idea. No pain, no gain, no excuse. So here, no, no, no is being repeated. Every girl, every dream, every step. It's a Nike ad. Again, every is repeated. So while in alliteration, first letter is repeated multiple times. In anaphora, words are repeated multiple times to emphasize a key idea. Okay. Allegory. Now, what is an allegory? We did allegory in the previous lecture in the comparison with metaphor and juxtaposition. No, did we do metaphor and what was that? Allegory. We did that in the previous lecture, but okay, let's quickly go through it in this lecture as well. An allegory is an extended narrative in which characters, events, and settings symbolically represent abstract ideas, often moral, religious, or political. So it is supposed to tell a deeper or a hidden story. It may criticize society indirectly. It is quite common in fables, religious texts, or political satire. So allegories is usually a story. So it's not like it's very less likely that you might get it in any form in your written passage, sorry, reading comprehension. But again, it's better that you know this because it could be used in like the word can be used allegorically or something like that. So it's like better you know this. So again, I talked about Animal Farm. So Animal Farm by George Orwell is a allegory. On the surface, it's a story of farm animals who rebel against the humans, but there is an allegory for totalitarian government. I'm not sure if the Russian Revolution for sure, but a totalitarian government. The movie Matrix, I don't know, again, you guys are too young to have watched it, but it's like allegory for illusion versus reality or freedom versus control. So it's the whole story. And the whole story on the surface, it says something, but each and every part of the story, the characters, the different dimensions, different character lines, different storyline, it is trying to point towards a like higher truth in the whole story. So it's allegory. It's usually the whole story. It cannot be in form of a line or a or like few lines or a phrases. That's why I was saying it's not possible to get it in your reading comprehension. Okay, now let's do the passage. The last lesson of the forest. Oh, nature, will you forgive us? Old tree whispered as bulldozers growled in the distance. We took your shade, your silence, your song, and offered you smoke and cement in return. Beneath the tree sat a girl, recording a video for her school project. We need change, she said. We need voices. We need vision. We need value for what cannot be priced. Later that week, a children's story titled The Greedy King and the Dying Forest went viral. A tale of a king who turned trees into gold only to realize he couldn't breathe riches. It was read in parliament, ignored by officials, and printed on the tote bags at a climate march. Okay. Oh, very nice story. Very nice passage. Okay. Which line from the passage best illustrates an apostrophe? So we discussed an apostrophe, repeated words. We need voice. We need vision. Oh, nature, will you forgive us? The bulldozers growled. Oh, sorry. No. Apostrophe. I'm sorry. I confused it. Sorry. Apostrophe is not the repeated words. It is when you're trying to talk to somebody who is imagined or dead or an abstract idea. That's apostrophe. Sorry, my bad. Uh, that was anaphora, right? Repeated words. Oh, sorry. Again, let's start this question again. Okay. Now let's look at the question. Which line from the passage best illustrates apostrophe? Apostrophe. Sorry. A. We need voices. B. A. We need voices. We need vision. B. Oh nature, will you forgive us? C. The bulldozers growled in the distance. Or D. A children's story went viral. Now, what was apostrophe? Apostrophe was a figure of speech where the speaker was speaking to someone dead, imagined, or an abstract idea. So option B, oh nature, will you forgive us? So somebody is trying to talk to nature, like no, it's not a person. So the speaker addresses nature directly as if it can hear. So it's a apostrophe. Option B. The repetition in the girl's speech. We need the what was the line? Let's see. We need change. We need voice. We need vision. We need value for what cannot be priced. So in this line, what is it? This line an example of epiphora, allegory, anaphora, or personification. So option C, anaphora, because the phrase we need is again uh, repeated to emphasize a key idea. Okay, so anaphora, repetition of the we need phrase. The story, the greedy king and the dying forest, functions as now, option A, anecdote, option B, allegory, option C, hyperbola, or option D, satire. Now, some of you might confuse it with anecdote because anecdote is also a story, but anecdote is a personal story. When somebody is telling it that, okay, I am telling you about my personal story, then it would be an anecdote. Allegory is just any story that is mentioned and it has deeper meanings. It's not a personal experience. It's not a real thing that exactly happened. It's a symbolic story full of symbols. Okay, so do not get confused about the story. That anecdote is a story. Anecdote is a personal, real example that the speaker is mentioning to make a point. Allegory is a whole story which is full of symbols. So the greedy king and the dying forest, it's a symbolical story. So option B, allegory. The story symbolically represents real world issues like environmental destruction and the material greed. What happens? What is the like outcome of material greed? Okay, so the king, because he becomes greedy and turns all the trees into gold, and then now he's short of oxygen. So this is basically the story is only trying to show the impact of environmental degradation. So that's allegory, okay, full of symbols. Now these are some of the some more figure of speeches that I would say that you should be aware of them, whether they can be asked in question or in examination or not. I'm not sure, but I thought it's better that you know them. So, chiasmus. So, it's like reverse grammatical structures are used. For example, you eat to live and not live to eat. You see, eat to live and not eat. Eat to live is reversed live to eat. So, it's giving an impact. Emphasis through symmetry. Failing to plan is planning to fail. I completely believe in that. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So, again, using the symmetry in a manner to create an impact. Another one, isocolon. So, again, parallel structures of equal length are used to create a rhythmic or persuasive impact. For example, buy one, get one. I came, I saw, I conquered. Julius Caesar said so. I mean, he didn't say it, but it was in the play Julius Caesar. So again, parallel structures of equal length. I came, I saw, I conquered. So that creates an impact that I came, I saw, I conquered. It has like become a very popular slogan because of this. So it's very persuasive and it's very rhythmic. So that's isocolon. Colloquialism. Again, colloquial language is like informal language, conversational language. So colloquialism is informal everyday expression, the kind of language that you people use on social media. I'm gonna do this. What's up? So gonna, wanna, what's up? Those things. That's colloquialism. So it creates a relatability and realism. Sometimes in story, writers use colloquialism to create an impact of sort of relatability. That's colloquialism. Epigram. So, epigram are witty or paradoxical short sayings expressing a clever observation or insight in a memorable way. For example, I can resist everything but except temptation. Or child is the father of man. Or an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. So again, it's like just a clever observation or an insight in a like memorable way. Again, that's just it combines humor and insight. So an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind means that everybody keeps on taking revenge for what happened. Nobody will be alive because it will trigger sort of chain reaction. That's what this line is trying to say. So it's just a in a witty, clever way trying to make an insight. That's epigram. Litotes. Litotes is an idea that is expressed by negating its opposite, often creating an understatement. So it uses phrase like not bad, not uncommon, or no small feat to affirm something positively by denying the negative. For example, it was not a bad day. So it's usually teenagers talk like that. If you ask them, okay, so how was your day? It was not a bad day. They'll not say that it was actually a good day because that's not that cool. He's not without charm. That means he's quite charming. So it's like just using the opposite, like negating the opposite, not exactly saying this, but negating the opposite and hence indirectly implying this. Like not like घुमा के लेकर के आना है. So not negating the opposite and hence implying this. So he's no fool. That means he's clever. So you can just straightforward say he's clever, but no, that's not fun. So he's no fool. That means he's clever. So it's like subtle, ironic. So it has its own appeal. So, oh, we have more questions. Rhetorical question. Again, yeah, this is something that you should know. Rhetorical question is posed for an effect and not the answer. So the answer is usually obvious or implied. So, for example, when someone says, what's the point? So the person is not asking you to give them the point. It's like, what's the point? Just, to think for you to, giving you a space to think or whatever that argument they have made before this question. It is expected you to think on it or it is increasing the impact of whatever has been said before this or who do you think you are. Now it's not like when someone says that in a conversation they don't mean that you come and define yourself. Oh, I think I am this. That's not what you're supposed to do. It's just a way of creating an effect. For a rhetorical question an answer is not expected. Okay, So it engages audience, emphasizes arguments, especially in speeches. In all the political speeches, rhetorical questions are used. They are thrown upon the audience to create an impact or to engage them. Okay. Anthropomorphism. Again, anthropomorphism, this word we have done in our previous lectures also. It's a concept also, and it's a figure of speech also. So in this, non-human things act like human. For example, Animal Farm we were talking about. In that, animals are talking. So animals cannot talk. I mean, they cannot talk in human language. They can talk, maybe they have their own whatever communication thing going on, but they cannot talk in human language. So that is anthropomorphism, giving non-humans human-like activity, human-like qualities. So, for example, Kung Fu Panda, humans, the in this panda is talking, tortoise is talking, all the animals are talking. So, anthropomorphism and non-human-like act is done by the human-like act is done by the non-humans. So, this present era where human activities have increased is also called anthropomorphic age. If you guys read the newspapers, if you read the environmental any magazine, you'll definitely you would have come across this phrase anthropomorphism. That means the impact in this age, the impact of humans has increased on nature. So anthropomorphic age. So it makes just abstract ideas more relatable. That's the use of this figure of speech. Aphorism. What is an aphorism? It is usually a short universal truth or principle. For example, time is money. So again, it's a very condensed way of delivering some moral or practical wisdom. Aphorism. Okay. So with this, we have come to the end of this two series topic, that is figure of speech or common literary devices. So I mean, these devices. I hope you enjoyed this video because these devices really uh, give a very tangy or a very beautiful twist to a language. So try to use them also. You'll definitely start enjoying the language more. For me, I really enjoy learning these or using these, or when I come across these in any text, it really enhances the whole quality of text. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for your patience. I'll see you again with another new topic. Thank you.